Come on. Hi there, Smart Drivers, talking to you tonight about getting your license in the wintertime because it's, believe it or not, easier and less exact. And of course, driving examiner is a little more chill because there's not quite as many students. So, I'm going to encourage you, convince you to take your driver's test in the wintertime. Stick around, we'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about getting your driver's license in the wintertime. Nara is here. Mallory's here. Jason, hello, my friend. And Evan is here. A few people here. We're getting going, and it is January. It is, for many people, deep winter. And I know I did this presentation a couple weeks ago, but I'm on a mission to convince you that it is, in fact, easier and better to get your driver's license in the winter time. You have a higher probability of passing first time. So let's talk about that. Let's also talk about winter driving. Let's talk about black ice, snow and ice, driving around in the wintertime. Corey is here. Corey is Bricks for Wheels. He's the moderator. Does an excellent job of getting up videos that I suggest you have a look at for more detail in answering your question. And as well, he keeps out the bad people who like to spam us, who, don't have anything else to do. So, Carl's here, Pearson, Shanty's here. Hello, 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 Elizabeth, and Xander. Hello, everyone. Let me know if you're just tuning in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know if you actually have snow and ice. Excuse me. Let me know where you have snow and ice. If you have snow and ice where you live and drive, and if you're having challenges with that, if we can help you out with that. Smart Drive Test's mission is to help you pass the driver's test first time, become a safer, smarter driver, and if you're working towards a career as a truck or bus driver to try and get a better income, we can help you with all of that as well. Deep winter, Vancouver Island can't cope. Yes, I've understood that Vancouver Island has a fair bit of snow. Tim, Drive Smart BC. If you're in the province of British Columbia, be sure to check out Tim's website. Excellent information over there. Case law, anything to do with traffic safety, roadways, why they're not getting plowed in the way that they should be. And excellent forum there for discussion around topics of traffic safety. So definitely have a look at Tim's site. How much snow do you have, Tim, there on the island, Vancouver Island? Shanty's in Canada. Yes, has snow and ice. Fernie, is it okay to stop on the road if following traffic does not let you in to merge? Oh, we don't even need to go there. Fernie, the answer is no. No, the answer is absolutely not. Do not stop on an on-ramp. You got to get up to speed, put your signal on, and if that doesn't work, if you're halfway down the ramp and there isn't a gap, then you have to hug the left side of your lane to ask somebody to let you in. If you get out to the end of the ramp and you are not merging over, you've made a mistake before you even moved out there because you didn't find your gap before you started merging out onto the highway. So no, never stop on the on-ramp. You are going to very much risk being rear-ended. I can't say that enough. Tim says that he talked about driving lights today, and that would be an interesting article. Maybe, Corey, you can stick the link up for the driving lights and we can have a look at that. Sabrina says that Indiana, no snow or ice as of yet. You must be lower Indiana, somewhere south of Gary, Indiana. Xander says icy and snowy here in Wisconsin, and yes, that's pretty much par for the course in the state of Wisconsin. Also, I'm certain in Minnesota they have a lot of snow and ice, and of course the Dakotas, they have lots of snow and ice. My friend John is watching from the Philippines. Hello, hello, hello. And Katie says there's lots of snow and ice in the province of Ontario here in Canada. So lots of people here. And Corey, if you could put the video up on merging for Fernie there, that will help out as well. If you could do that, it'd be great. Sherwin, hello, my friend. All right. So there we go. Just looking for the slideshow presentation. So essentially what I do here is I'll do a slideshow presentation for 10 or 12 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll spend the remainder of the time answering any questions you have about passing a driver's test. Being a defensive driver, driving in the wintertime. We're going to talk about winter driving. Obviously, we'll talk more about that. Do have a look at the video shorts here on YouTube, over at TikTok. I've been putting some shorts up about instant automatic fails on a driver's test, as well some black ice videos, some winter driving videos, because this information is really needed at this time of the year. Because one of my pet peeves is people not doing at least the speed limit in the wintertime. I can understand if it's incredibly slippery out, the temperature's near zero, as it would be on Vancouver Island. However, here where I live, yes, we have snow and ice on the roads, but there's no reason with a good set of winter tires in your vehicle that you can't drive the posted speed limit. You simply have to maintain your space from other vehicles. You have to slow down farther back from the intersection so you get stopped where you actually want to get stopped, and then creep up to the intersection. But we'll talk more about all of that. Tim says that they had about a foot of snow there on Vancouver Island. That's a lot of snow for Vancouver Island, who is used to not really getting any snow. Tim says the street in front of my house is simply wet. No garbage pickup for 2 weeks now because it is being too dangerous for the trucks. And yes, and let me tell you about Vancouver Island. The temperature is around freezing. When it snows on Vancouver Island, it's just another form of rain there. And it's incredibly slippery because it's around zero. Lots of water on the ice and lubrication and those types of things. So if you're going to drive around on Vancouver Island, you basically have to have chains on for garbage trucks and fire trucks and those types of things. There's just no other way that they can get around. But the other thing is it doesn't last for very long. This is unusual for them to have snow for that length of time. Mallory tuning in from Nova Scotia. So we had snow on Friday night, and Saturday morning on Friday we had thunderstorms and lightning in the middle of a snowstorm. Well, that's interesting. Corey's put up the video on how to correctly merge onto freeways as well. He put up the link on driving lights from Drive Smart BC there, so have a look at that as well. Caleb, have a question. How easy is it to pass your driver's test in the winter, and how hard is it to parallel park? Okay, Caleb, you're at the right place. We're about to get over to the presentation here, and this will answer that question for you. So stay tuned here, and we're going to get going with the presentation here. So learning to drive in the wintertime, getting your license in the wintertime. There are less people, a lot less people in the wintertime taking their driver's test. So driving examiners, first and foremost, tend to be a little bit more relaxed in the wintertime because they don't have as many students. They're not as rushed. Because they're more relaxed, they're more likely to have a little bit more discretion in the wintertime as well, because roads are snow covered and maybe slippery and those types of things. They're going to give you kudos for taking on the challenge of taking your test in the wintertime. It's kind of like in North America. If you take your driver's test in a manual transmission, they're going to have a bit of kudos for you. So I would strongly encourage you to consider taking your driver's test in the wintertime. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a long-haul truck driver in the 1990s. Ran freight between Ontario, Canada into the U.S., mostly the lower 48, and mostly east of the Mississippi. Did make it out to California and a few other places, but that's what I did. Went back to university, became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997, earned my doctorate in legal history in 2006 from the University of Melbourne. For those of you who may or may not know, legal history is a study of policing, prisons, and courts, and my expertise is in policing, oddly enough, as it relates to traffic. While I was going to university, I drove buses for Greyhound, and if you want to know more information, Corey will put the link up for the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website, and you can have a look at that. New video this week with Willie. It was his 4th driving lesson. Next week will be his 5th. His driving test is on the 25th of January, so he's ready for it. He's very much all the skills and strategies in place. A few little mix-ups and those types of things, but we're working on all that stuff with him. So look forward to another video with him. So in the wintertime, learning how to drive in adverse weather conditions. If you're not comfortable going out on roadways and those types of things, I do suggest that you start in residential areas. I would even back up even farther than that and suggest, if you're learning how to drive, to start in a parking lot with pylons, those types of things, and get mastery of the primary controls. The steering wheel, the brake, and the throttle, the accelerator or gas pedal as it's called. So those 3 controls, you need to be able to work those. And the other piece with those in the wintertime, brake and steering are separate actions. So you want to brake at the corner, and then you want to roll through the corner, steer, and maybe accelerate out of the corner so that you maintain control of the vehicle. You're going to get a much better understanding of traction in the winter time. Front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive vehicles. Most of these are going to be front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive vehicles. You may get the odd rear-wheel drive vehicle, but for most of you, you're going to be driving either front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive vehicles. And if you are taking a driver's test in the wintertime, I do encourage you strongly to put winter tires on the vehicle or have incredibly good all-season tires on your vehicle. In the wintertime, it's unlikely that you're going to drive in heavy snow conditions. Most of the time, the roads are clear and it's fine. I mean, we only get a blizzard, 2 or 3 times a winter, or we get heavy snowfall or unusual conditions as they're getting on Vancouver Island right now, where they have a foot of snow. So don't listen to the rhetoric that, you're going to be driving and blowing snow and blizzards and those types of things and whiteouts and whatnot. Most of the time, the roads are going to be clear in the wintertime. There's going to be snow and those types of things, but they're going to be well sanded, well salted, and you're not going to have any problems how to drive in the wintertime. But learning how to drive in the wintertime, you're going to learn how to drive in adverse weather conditions, because the other piece about snowy roads is the farther you get away from main roads, the more snow and ice there is on the roadways. So if you go out on the main highway here, for example, it's pretty much bare. But once you get up into the residential streets here where I live in Vernon, British Columbia, there's a lot of snow and ice on the roadways. So know that, okay? You're going to have to dress for the wintertime as well. You're going to have to put on good footwear and those types of things. And just in a side note, if you are traveling, going out on the highways and those types of things, we drove from Vernon to Calgary over the Christmas break, and extreme sub-zero temperatures. I was talking about this last week. It was minus 34 degrees Celsius in Golden, British Columbia, which is minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. We had all our ski gear in the vehicle. We had winter boots, we had snow pants, jackets, toques, mitts, hats, scarves, all those types of things, and a survival kit in the vehicle. So know that if you're driving outside of the city areas onto the highways and those types of things. Okay? In the wintertime on a driver's test, you can be a little bit lackadaisical. You don't have to stop at the correct stopping position, at stop lines, before sidewalks, crosswalk lines, or before entering the intersection. In the wintertime, it's just before the sidewalk. Then you creep up until you can see, once you can see past the snowbank and once you can see past the parked cars, and when the way is clear, then you can proceed. Again, parallel parking. You don't have to parallel park 8 to 12 inches from the curb. You just have to get in next to the snowbank. Because no, driving examiners will not push your car out of the snowbank if you get stuck. So you do not want to get into the snowbank. If you get into the snowbank and you get stuck, unfortunately, you probably failed your driver's test, because the driving examiner is just going to get out of the vehicle and walk back to the DMV or the test center, or he or she is going to call somebody to come and get them, because they're not going to push you out of the snowbank if you get stuck. So know that. And the bottom picture here, you can see that you're just in behind the vehicle in front of you, and that's all you need to do. You can drive a bit slower on residential streets and those types of things, but out on the main roadways that are clear, well salted, well sanded, you need to get up to speed as quickly as possible and drive the posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, how fast do I drive in the wintertime? Most of the time, I can say this to you with some authority, that the speed that you drive, if conditions are adverse in the wintertime, trust me, the traffic flow will not be driving faster than you're comfortable with for the most part. The traffic just slows down. As the temperature plummets, the colder it gets, the slower the traffic drives for whatever reason. All right? So, I already talked about snow tires on your vehicle in the winter time. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong present. Oh, there we go. Okay, no, that's all good. Sorry, I was thinking I had a technical glitch there, but I don't. Okay, so winter tires, M&S rated, and the mountain symbol. That's an actual winter tire. So all season tires will have the M&S on them, or which is mud and snow. But an actual winter tire is M&S plus the mountain snowflake symbol on it to be an actual winter tire. If you've got a lot of hard pack, you've got a lot of ice that you're dealing with in the wintertime, consider putting steel-studded tires on your vehicles. Personally, I don't like steel-studded tires because we just don't get enough hard pack here. We don't get enough ice to justify steel-studded tires. As well, they're incredibly noisy. You got to think of steel studs banging on pavement at highway speeds. They're incredibly noisy. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really like them. Now, if I was running up and down the mountain or driving on a lot of hard pack, then yes, I would consider having steel-studded tires on my vehicle. Make sure that your winter tires are properly inflated, and that goes with, if you're going to do your driver's test anytime soon in the winter time, make sure that you do a pre-trip inspection, and that just, you know, the basic stuff. Make sure that all your lights are working. Make sure your defrost is working. You know how to turn on the signals. You need to know how to turn on the high beams, the windshield wipers, those types of things. Because in the wintertime, you could be called upon to use any one of those secondary controls. All right, if it does start to slide on you, get off the brake, get off the throttle, and steer in the direction that you want to go. I've been driving up and down the highway here of late, and the number of people who are going down a hill and around a curve and they're on the brakes, oh my God, it just rattles my brain. The last thing you want to do is to be on the brakes when you're going around a curve on compromised traffic, on road conditions, on snow and ice, because you're gonna lose control of your vehicle eventually. One day it's just gonna kick out and you're not gonna be able to regain control of it. Stay off the brakes, because a locked or spinning wheel always leads. So in other words, if you lock up the tires on slippery conditions, which is very easy to do, that back end is just gonna come around, and unfortunately it's gonna be very easy to lose control of your vehicle. If you do come up to the intersection, you need to get stopped. This happened to me in Calgary. We come up to the intersection and you just like sheer ice. And all of a sudden it was like the ABS kicked in and you basically got no brakes. And just all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's where I'm going. And moved out of the main tracks. As soon as I moved out of the main tracks, I got some traction and the vehicle came to a stop. So this is the other thing you need to do. So it's always a good idea to move to the outside of the road. Don't move to the center of the road when you're trying to gain traction with your vehicle. And as I already mentioned, be able to turn on the windshield wipers, how to activate the washer fluid, and the defrost and the high-low headlight beams is the things that you're going to need to know for secondary controls for your driver's test. Okay, you got to get her stopped, drive for the conditions of the road, brake early, creep up to where you actually want to stop, and get off the throttle, get off the brake if you feel the vehicle start to shift or start to lose a bit of traction on the roadway. Okay, and as I said at the beginning, Corey will also put up the video for you on how to learn to drive in the wintertime, where you basically go out and do some donuts in the parking lot and figure out how the vehicle reacts when you give it too much throttle, give it too much brake, or you get understeering or oversteering. Okay, when you're trying to regain control, look in the direction you want the vehicle to go. We talked about understeering. Understeering is when you turn the steering wheel and it continues to go straight. Oversteering is when you turn the steering wheel and the back end starts to come around. Okay, learn how the vehicle responds when it loses traction. All of this is going to make you a safer, smarter driver overall, especially in the summertime. Conclusion, learn how to drive in the wintertime. You'll have a higher skill set. Take your driver's test in the wintertime because the test is less exact. Of course, you're going to need a bit of your driving skills are going to be a bit higher. You're going to need some more skills and strategies to be able to drive at night or in the winter time on snow and ice. But for the most part, roads will be fine in the winter time. They're going to be salted. They're going to be well sanded. They're going to be clear. And if there is a lot of snow in the winter time, they will simply postpone your driver's test and you'll come back and take it another day. So that's what I suggest for the winter time. So, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. All right, and we'll get back over here. There we go. Here we are. Okay. So Corey's put those videos up. Thanks for that so much. Tim says carry a winter kit, small shovel, extra clothing, jumper cables, cheap insurance that more than pays for itself. Oh, right. Okay, so I get that. Yes, have a survival kit in your vehicle. Winter carry a shovel, extra clothing, and jumper cables. And most of this stuff you can get in a winter survival kit. They're less than $50. There's also a video, 7 things you should buy for the automotive person. Winter survival kit. Have that in your vehicle. As well, the other thing that you might want to know about winter driving, most of these kits come with a tow strap in them. And the reason we use straps is because straps stretch a little bit, as opposed to a chain, which doesn't stretch and tends to pull things off your vehicle. So hook points on your vehicle, if you do get stuck and you're going to tow it out with another pickup truck and those types of things. We've all seen the videos on YouTube where people are pulling the grills off the front of their car, or the cowling, which are, you know, fun to watch. If you have a tow hitch on the back of the vehicle, that's the best thing to hook onto, because the tow hitch is bolted to the frame of the vehicle. So that's number one. The other piece is look in your owner's manual for the hook points on your vehicle. Most newer vehicles, if you look at the cowling, will have a little piece of plastic that pops out, and in the jack kit there will be a hook that screws into that slot in there, and that's what your hook point is. And if you ever get your vehicle towed, that's the first thing that the wrecker will do, is they'll go to the jack kit, they'll pull that hook out, and they'll pop that little plastic out of the cowling, and then they'll stick that thing in, and that's what they hook onto to pull your car up onto the flat deck or tow it and those types of things. Tim says, for the most part, I had people pass my lit police vehicle following a lit up ambulance to a crash because we weren't going too slow for them. Doy. Yeah. There you go. Of course, you know, all kinds of people doing crazy things. Doris, I've already my license, but as the new driver, I find your info still very helpful, and that's really great that we can help out. Doris, if you have any questions at all, let us know. Drop us a comment. As well, if you're watching on the replay, let us know. More than happy to help you out and answer questions. We have lots of people, well, not lots of people, but there's people here who do that, and that's what their job is, to answer questions and get you the information that you need. As well, if you are considering doing your driver's license test, we have an online course over at the Smart Drive Test website. Pass your driver's test first time. It includes both the defensive and winter driving smart courses as a bonus. And of course, the pass your driver's test first time course is guaranteed that you'll pass your driver's test first time. We'll just give you your money back. So check that out over at the Smart Drive Test website. Corey will put the link up there for you as well. Jeremy, any tips for rear-wheel trucks in wintertime? Moved from Cali to Eastern Washington. My first winter driving experience. Got new tires, winter tires, and packed down my trunk. You don't have, Jeremy, you don't have four-wheel drive on your truck, high-low. It's just straight rear-wheel drive. John, sir, what is the best signal on entering and merging traffic? Is it left or right signal? If you're merging, John, it's your left signal, because you're moving to the left. So you're gonna turn right onto the merge lane, and then you're gonna signal left. And John, remind me, you're in the Philippines, right? Philippines is on the left or right? Do you drive on the right or left side of the road? Just somebody remind me of that. I forget now. Pearson, not all streets, mind you, but some streets are rough to the point where going the speed limit will shake and rock the car violently, and I'm afraid of what that could make the instructor think. Pearson, you're exactly right. If you do get snow and ice and then it melts and you get all kinds of slush and then it freezes again, yes, it can be extremely rough, and that is a good point that you made there. If that does happen, if the residential streets are extremely rough because of ice, slush that has frozen again, then yes, you are just totally justified in going slower, right? Because obviously your vehicle can only sustain so much abuse with those kinds of roads. And actually, when we were in Calgary over the winter break here last week, same thing happened. I mean, there was a day, it had been consistently minus 20 degrees Celsius, 0 degrees Fahrenheit for weeks. And then one day, because they get Chinooks in Calgary, where the temperature goes up to like 1 degree, and then of course everything starts to melt and you get all kinds of slush, and then the temperature goes back down to minus 20 the next day. And then what happens is, as you said, there's the side streets and residential streets get really rough because you get that frozen ice, slush, and whatnot on the road. So yes, excuse me, you're totally justified in going slower when that happens. Ah, yes. Jeremy, you have the rear-wheel drive Tundra. You and Tim should get together and talk Tundras. Basically, what I suggest to you, Jeremy, is you're going to have to go slower. You're going to have to know that you have uneven weight in the pickup truck. You've got a box, you've got the engine and the cab at the front. So all the weight's in the front, the rear wheel drives, you know, the back wheels are there pushing. Know that bridges and overpasses freeze first. Any place that you have ice, Corey will put the video up for you on black ice where ice forms first. You're going to have to go slow around corners and those types of things and brake very gently and keep it in a straight line when you are braking with the truck. I would also suggest that you put some sandbags in the back over the rear wheels just to kind of balance out the weight in the pickup truck. It's not without its challenges driving a rear-wheel drive vehicle in the wintertime on snow and ice. So there you go. That's what I can give you. Tyler, is it safer to avoid hitting potholes by going into the bike lane so we don't damage pop a tire? Yeah, Tyler, if you can go in the bike lane, if you do a shoulder check and make sure that there isn't anybody there in the bike lane, because, I mean, even though it's wintertime, you never really know where people are. So I would suggest, yeah, you can do that, but definitely do that. Yeah, Tim, I was saying that you and Jeremy there should get together because you both have two-wheel drive Tacomas, which I didn't even think they existed anymore. I thought they were all four-wheel drive. So, Hector, can't wait to go for mine. Salute. Matt, I recently got my CDL here in the States. I'm in Niagara Falls. I have not had to deal with snow in these big trucks. Any tips or advice for new drivers? Matt, most of the time, you know, if you're loaded, you're going to be fine with a big truck in the wintertime. If you're empty, you're going to have to be a lot more careful. You know, brake a lot sooner. You're going to need a lot more room to brake in a big truck, especially even if you're not on snow and ice. Know that you're going to need like 10 times the amount of distance as you would in a car until you get used to, you know, how much braking distance it takes in a big truck. Now, if they send you, whatever company that you start going and working for, if they send you into the mountains anywhere, like Northern Ontario has mountains, New York State, if they send you into West Virginia, know that you're going to have chains on your vehicle, because some of these places, in order to get up the hills, these big trucks just won't go up. You're going to need to have chains on the vehicle, so make sure that you have them in or on the vehicle, and also know how to install them on your truck, because we came through Golden. We were heading back home, so we were heading west, and eastbound lanes, two trucks had gone up the hill. It's the 10-mile hill coming out of Golden. The trucks hadn't put chains on, which kind of like, I was like, what? Why didn't they put chains on? Because it was snowing like crazy. And of course, they spun out on the hill and closed the highway, closed the Trans-Canada Highway outside of Golden. So there you go. App Mania, should I buy a manual car? Pros and cons. App Mania, you're talking to somebody who drives a manual car, and I probably have kept my manual car for the very reason that it's a manual car. Once you drive a manual car and you get used to it, you're never going to go back to an automatic. Now, saying that, Tracy, my girlfriend, has an Audi S4 with an automatic transmission. You put it in sport mode. Well, that's good fun, but still like a manual transmission. It's by far my favorite. You know, and the other thing is yes, for the first couple of months, it's going to be challenging to learn how to drive a manual transmission. You're going to think, why am I ever doing this? I got to shift every gear, blah, blah, blah. But after a couple of months, it'll just become second nature. And I think that you're more in tune with your driving, you're aware of what's going on with your vehicle, you're aware of what's going on with traffic and those types of things and shifting gears and whatnot. So I would encourage you to buy a manual transmission if that's what you're leaning towards. Katie, difficult for me because the closest testing center is an hour away. I will realistically only get 1 to 2 chances to drive near there before my test in February. Do you have any advice for driving in this situation? Katie, normally what I suggest to people who aren't going to be able to go to the test center, what I would suggest to you is to pull it up on Google Maps, have a look around the test center and kind of, you know, a 10-minute drive out in any direction. Where are the schools? Where are the major intersections? Because you could tell all of that stuff on Google Maps and have a look at all of that, and that will help you out. And then the other thing is that when you do go for your test, go a couple of hours early, and then that way you can practice driving in and around the test center. One of the other things that I might even suggest for you is maybe book a practice driving test if you can squeeze that in with what local driving instructor around that test center, and that will really pay dividends as well. So those are a few tips that you can put in place to make sure that you pass your driver's test first time there. As Tim says, if you can drive a standard, you can drive everything, and that's very true. If you can drive a manual transmission, you can drive any vehicle. Tim, not sure about 3 in the trees though. I do want to get a 3 in the tree just to give people the keys to see whether they can drive it or not. That's funny. Stick around to the end of the live stream and we'll tell you what a 3 in the tree is. Jordan, hello sir. I can go for my class 5 later this year. Do you know if the class 5 road test is any different from the class 7? Yes, Jordan, they expect you to be a lot smoother on a class 5 driver's test as opposed to class 7. It's more or less the same, but they do expect you to have some experience, and as well all of the other things for the driver's test are in place. You have to come to stop at the correct stopping position, drive the posted speed limit, no, don't be near anything, all those types of things, all those pieces. And Corey will put up the video for you on the mock driver's test and have a look at that, and that'll give you all the details you need. Evan, is there any snow and ice? You shall scan all around. Avoid having to brake suddenly to avoid hitting them. Yes, but mostly in the wintertime, animals aren't really a big deal. I mean, we have seen some mule deer here where I live. I don't know if anybody else, any other smart drivers have seen animals and those types of things on the road if they're a problem where they live, but not so much here. Moni, is it compulsory to use handbrake during the test? Yes, every time you park the vehicle, you must apply the parking brake for a driver's test, and it's a good habit to get into after you drive, after you start learning how to drive. That way you can be insured, guaranteed that your vehicle is going to be where you left it when you park it. So get in the habit of using your driver's test. Corey's put up the mock driver's test. Thank you for that. Tim says yes, Volkswagen push down and to and right to reverse. Down and right. Up. Yeah. Some of these vehicles are weird. Yes, know that for those of you driving manual transmissions, reverse in my Honda is over and down. Some of them are over and up for reverse, and you got to pull the ring up to get it to go into reverse. Other ones you got to push the stick down and then pull it over and push it up for it to go into reverse. So know that on different manual transmissions. So if you can't get it into reverse, have a look at your owner's manual to help you out with getting your vehicle, your manual transmission into reverse, because sometimes that can be a bit of like, what the heck is this thing doing? So Tyler, when I took my test, the examiner took me 2 minutes away from the test center and the test was less than 15 minutes. Yes, Tyler, and you probably took it in a bigger city. For most larger metropolitan areas, Chicago, New York City, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Vancouver, British Columbia, BC, or British Columbia, Canada, Seattle, Washington, any of these bigger centers, the test is going to be shorter, because what happened 2 years ago when we had the lockdown and they closed all the DMVs, there was a huge backlog. They're still dealing with that backlog. Because they're still dealing with that backlog from the lockdown, what's happening is the driving tests are even shorter. They're only like 10 to 15 minutes now. So know that you're going to have to hit the ground running. The first 5 minutes of your test is going to be critical. It's also the hardest because you're the most nervous. But know that when you're going for your driver's test. The more you get into kind of rural centers, they don't have as many students testing, so the tests tend to be longer. I took Charlie, Corey will put the video up for you, up to Salmon Arm here, which is about an hour away from where I live. It's a rural town, and his test was like 35 minutes. So know that if you go to some place that's not very populated and they don't have a lot of tests, it's going to be a longer driving test for you. Okay? My friend Colin, how are you, my friend? Can you talk about the track off button on most cars and when the ideal time to use the button? So you're talking about the traction control button. It's the one with the car on it with the little squiggly lines behind it. That's traction control, and essentially what it will do, is if you get into deep snow or you get into mud or other compromised traction conditions, what will happen is if you get a spinning wheel, it will direct power from that spinning wheel over to the other wheel. However, when you get into deep snow, you have to spin the wheels to keep momentum. So say you're in your driveway in the morning and you don't want to shovel it out because you're late and you spilled the milk on the floor and you stepped on the cat's tail and you're already 10 minutes late for work and you need to get out the driveway and you don't have time to shovel it, then you turn off the traction control and spin the tires and get some forward momentum. You might even have to rock the car to get it out of the snow, and that's when you don't use your traction control. Okay? Otherwise, most of the time you're going to just leave it on. But if you're in deep snow or mud or trying to get your car unstuck and those types of things, then that was when you would turn off your traction control. DC, how do you know what gear to use for taking turns? DC, are you talking in a manual transmission or are you talking in an automatic transmission? Turtle, hey Rick, I have trouble reversing into a parking lot. I get confused with the wheel. Okay, so Turtle, the way that you want the back end to go is the way that you turn the steering wheel. So if you're backing up and you want the steering wheel to go that way, turn the steering wheel that way. Just put your hand on the top. I want the steering wheel to go that, or the rear of the vehicle to go that way, so you just turn the steering wheel that way. Okay? Keep your hand on the top of the steering wheel and that will help you out. John, you here in the Philippines require student's permit or before get into a driving list. Just wondering what is the difference in your country. There is no difference, John, in our country. You have to have a learner's as well before you can get in a vehicle and practice driving with a mentor or with a driving instructor. That's awesome. Glad we could pronounce your name right there, because most of the time I don't get a lot of them correct because there's so many of them. Jordan, thank you. I've been watching your videos for about 3 or 4 years. It really helped with the learners as well as getting my class 7, and that is awesome. Jordan, congratulations on getting your class 7. That's really great information. Abdul, can you guide regarding left turns? Okay, so left turns. Also, Corey will put up the video for you on left turns and how to do those safely and do those correctly. Put your front steer tires on the front crosswalk line when you're waiting to turn left. Okay, you're looking for your gap. Your gap comes, you drive straight into the intersection and then meet the gap. So when that car on the other side, when I say meet the gap, so the gap is back here. This is where you're going to turn, and the car is one vehicle length behind the stop line. That's when you start moving forward to meet that gap, and then you turn in behind that vehicle to go around the corner. If the light goes yellow and you're still sitting there, as soon as the light goes yellow, you start driving straight into the intersection. You double, triple check that the oncoming traffic is coming to a stop. The traffic comes to a stop and you go around the corner. If the traffic on the other side doesn't stop and blows the yellow light, which will happen and happened to me today, then you wait. You just slow down on going straight. When the car goes past, then you turn and go through. The reason that you do it that way is so that you have a bit of speed going through the intersection and you reduce the amount of time that you are in the crosshairs of the oncoming traffic. So you are a bit safer because you're reducing the amount of time that you're in the traffic. Because know that on left-hand turns, the most dangerous crash is T-bone crashes, because there's nothing in the doors on either side that's going to protect you if you get T-boned in a left-hand turn crash. The other piece that's really awful about T-bone crashes is often it's a couple in the front of the vehicle and the boyfriend's driving or the girlfriend's driving and their partner gets killed in the car crash, because oftentimes, unfortunately, T-bone crashes doing left-hand turns are fatal. So know that when you're doing left-hand turns. And Corey will put up the video there. Corey's already put up the video. Thank you for that. And have a look at that video for more information. And also, make sure that you're checking out the YouTube Shorts. Go over to TikTok. Some of you may or may not know that I am doing a YouTube Short every day for a year. I started on the 25th of October. I've only missed 2 days, which I have to catch up for. But YouTube Shorts every day. There's a new video, less than a minute long. I'm trying to keep them under a minute. If you have any topics you want me to talk about, any topics that you want me to address or go into more detail about, I will do all of that. So I'm always open to suggestions, always open to comments that people give me, because when you ask me questions, when you criticize what I'm doing, it makes me think about things, because I do read most of the comments. Unfortunately, I've got a big channel now, which is just crazy that it's like 220, we're approaching 225,000 subscribers. I do read the comments. I try to present the information better to give you more. So that's what I'm trying to do, is to have better comments, more information. And here's some feedback. I've been working with a client in the States, and we've been talking about following distance. And we do the same thing over and again with all the driving manuals and those kinds of things. And in the driving manuals, it always says, oh, you got to have 3 to 4 second following distance, and we count, right? So we're following a car in front. The car in front goes past the fixed object. As soon as the car goes past the fixed object, then we start counting. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. We have a 4 second following distance. Nobody counts. And that was the feedback that I got from my client. She's like, nobody counts. Our drivers aren't going to count. So how do we know? How do we know that we have a good following distance? So this is what's going through my head. This is what I'm thinking about as I'm driving up and down the highway, because when this challenge, the gauntlet has been thrown down, I'm now challenged to come up with a better way for you to know how you have a good following distance. If you are driving down the road, down the highway, unless an animal runs out in front of me or some knucklehead cuts me off on the highway, I don't ever touch the brakes on my car. I just don't. Whereas I watch these other vehicles, and they're in clusters. There's like one after another, after another, after another. There's like 5 or 10 of them in a row, bumper to bumper, and they're always touching the brakes. The brake lights are coming on, the brake lights are coming on, the brake lights are coming on. If you're touching the brake pedal all the time when you're driving down the highway in a straight line, you're too close to the cars in front of you. So next time you're driving your vehicle, just take note. How many times am I touching the brake? Am I touching the brake all the time? Because if you're touching the brake all the time, you're too close to traffic in front of you. Try increasing your following distance and find out and reduce the use of your brake. If you can do that, you're going to be a smarter, safer driver. And stay out of those stupid clusters on the highway. Oh my God. Crazy, crazy, crazy. As Tim said, let's hear it for roundabouts. No T-bone crashes. I cannot agree more. I love roundabouts. I think we need more of them. Epic, if you're taking the road test after a winter storm, then you encounter a covered stop line, how would you know where it is? Otherwise, you fail the road test. What is the method to deal with this? You got to stay on your side of the road, follow traffic, and there's going to be parked cars along the side of the road. 3 feet from the parked cars on the side of the road. Know that, as I said, all of this is less exact. If you're taking your driver's test and the roads are snow covered, they're going to give you some leniency in terms of all of the lines on the roadway and those types of things. This is why I'm encouraging you to take your driver's test in the wintertime. It's less exact. Mallory, today my mom was explaining the different hand signals that you use when you're on a bike or in a car. Yes, and we have a video on that as well. Jeremy says roundabouts are crazy. Tyler, in Chilliwack we have 2 multi-lane roundabouts, and we should have a lot more multi-lane roundabouts. Garden State, we're happy to hear that it was a close call and you're fine. That's great. Dan, with the large backlog of driver's tests, our examiners a bit more lenient scoring the test. Dan, it depends on the examiner, but in the wintertime, as a kind of a general rule, yes, they are a little bit more lenient with you taking your driver's test in the wintertime. Shadow said just passed the test and it's not that hard. No, it's not. Clusters is where most accidents occur on highways. Never understood why people drive in clusters. Garden State, if you can figure out that Cadbury secret, please let me know, because as some of you have some of you know I'm working on a book right now, and that's part of what's going into the book is the clusters on the highway. And the interesting part about the clusters on the highway is they're even more pronounced in bad weather. Like I was driving on the highway 97 last night, and same thing. It's snowing. The road is, there's a little bit of snow on the road, but it's not too bad. And there were four very pronounced clusters as I was driving down the highway, and I was just like, what are these people doing? It's like, you're like 3 car lengths off the bumper in front of you. Just like, if something happens to one of you, it's going to happen to all of you. Tim says no situational awareness, which, yeah, I would agree. I'm not even sure if people know what situational awareness is. Mallory, can I do a short video on the slip line, please and thank you? Is slip line, Mallory, or do you mean the stop line? Let me know. Shadow, if you have a good idea how to drive, you'll probably pass. No, you need a few skills and strategies to pass a driver's test, because there's, safe driving and then there's passing a driver's test, and those things are different animals. So, have a great night, Tim. All the best. Ruben, I passed my driver's license test before, and on the way to the DMV, some lady started blowing her horn, trying to mess me up. I kept calm, and that's exactly what you need to do. Congratulations on staying calm, Ruben, and passing your driver's test. I'm guessing, I'm assuming that you passed your driver's test. Tyler, I seen a car driving today on bald tires. Is that legal? How is that legal? Well, it's not legal. The problem, Tyler, is there's nobody policing this. How are they going to know? Peace. Why traffic school car is very compared to any private car? Not sure what you're asking me there. Maybe you can reword that for me. Epic, why do you think of places in the United States permitting left turns on red? In neighboring Pennsylvania, left turn on red is allowed, as there are one-way streets intersecting each other. Yeah, Epic, it's not as common as you think. They can make left turns on red lights, but it's only if it's a one-way onto a one-way. That's the only time that you're permitted to have left turns on red lights. Otherwise, you can't do it, because obviously you have oncoming traffic, and that's something you're going to have to deal with. But on a one-way street to a one-way street, you're not dealing with intersecting oncoming traffic, so that's one of the reasons why they let it. Very heavy. Peace, what kind of a vehicle does the driving school have? Because most of the driving schools have like Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas and those types of things. I haven't seen big. It's very unusual for driving schools to have big vehicles. Shadow Troop, I think people overthink it a lot, though. You got to think the instructor aren't really out to get you, and they're probably nervous for you. As long as you don't do anything insane, you'll be okay. And make sure that you're stopping at the correct stopping position and doing all the other things, driving the posted speed limit and whatnot. Yes, the driving examiners are not out to get you. They're going to be fair for the most part. Ruben, thanks. She blew the horn really long, 2 short bursts, and the last one was 40 seconds. Oh my God. People just drive me crazy. And they just have they're always in a hurry, honking their horn and gotta go. Dulce, backing out of the garage. There is a video here on backing out of the garage and driving into your garage, and I can understand because it is incredibly tight. My garage is very tight. And unfortunately, for some people, a wing mirror gets knocked off the vehicle when you're backing into the garage and those types of things. But kind of take it as a badge of honor, because when I first started learning how to drive, when I was 15, my dad was letting me back the truck into the garage and took the mirror off the truck. In those days, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a couple of lag bolts. But now it's a lot more complicated. Most mirrors, they're heated, they're power mirrors, and it's going to cost you $300 or $400 to put the goofy thing back on the vehicle. So yeah, you don't really want to knock them off. But again, keep in mind that when you're backing into tight spaces or driving into tight spaces, that the wing mirrors are going to be the widest part of the car. But because you're in a tight space and you're trying to get into a garage, there's going to be a lot of off tracking as well. And you're talking distances of 6 inches, 4 to 6 inches when you're trying to get into the garage, especially if, it's a garage like mine with lots of other junk and whatnot in it. Okay. Crystal, Christmas was awesome. New Year's was really good. We had a really good holiday. And, of course, it was extended by 1 week for the kids due to COVID and the shutdown and whatnot. But they're going back to school tomorrow, so we're all excited. Awesome. Garden State, I took somebody's mirror off of my dad's truck the day after I got my license. Garden State, that's a badge of honor. Hopefully it wasn't very expensive. I took the mirror off a truck in Lower Manhattan when I was driving truck there, and double parked on a roadway, went in, came back out, and I just drove forward. And there's a hook, there's a piece of metal on the back of the trailer that sticks out like this much. It's where the door, you open up the barn doors, and it clips on there, and just caught the mirror. And of course it's a Cadillac, and I ripped the mirror off. And yeah, it's never a $20 Canadian Tire mirror or a $20 Home Depot mirror. It's always a $400 Power Cadillac mirror, right? Dulce, okay, there you go. That helps for sure. There's a good tip from Ann. Abdul, if I am in signal is red, if I fail. Okay, so Abdul, watch the video again on left turns. When the light turns yellow, you got to drive straight forward into the intersection. When you're absolutely sure it's clear, then you make your left-hand turn. If the light turns red because there's traffic still coming through the intersection, you're not going to fail your driver's test. I mean, unfortunately, you might, because unfortunately you might hesitate, and if you hesitate, then yes, you will. But as long as you're moving forward and you're waiting and checking to make sure that oncoming traffic, you shouldn't fail your driver's test. It's one of those discretionary things that I can't give you a definitive answer on. It's going to depend on the driving examiner. And my friend Goose, how are you, my friend? Goose, I got your email. I haven't had a chance to respond to it yet. It's busy here on this side of the computer. So we're getting going here. We're getting a team going, and it's a lot more details than I imagined when I got started. But it's all good. It's all good. Jake, are you allowed to use your backup camera on the driving test, or do you have to just use windows and mirrors? No, Jake, you can use your backup camera. However, use it as you would your mirrors. My daughter's standing here dancing beside me. Okay, you're done. We all got distractions. So, Corey will put up the video for you on reverse cameras. So, have a look at that. Crystal, okay, that was already answered that question. Crazy busy, totally understand. Thanks, Goose. Monet, I have damages on my car due to the avoiding damages to other people's car during parking. That's not good. Get some pylons and practice with the pylons. If you hit a pylon, it's not a big deal. You're not going to do any damage to your car, but minimize the amount of damage to your car. Okay? Shadow, I'm going to head out, but glad this came into my suggested page. You seem like a great guy. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you so much for that. Have a great night, my friend. All the very best. Corey's put up the video for you on backup cameras. Peace, when I trained in private normal car, I drive relatively good, but when I use the traffic school cars for tests, the motor turned off many times. Okay, Peace, it sounds like there's something wrong with the driving school car. Perhaps you might find another driving school, or you might ask them to put you in a different vehicle. Okay? Goose, I have 3 daughters. Yep, I get it. Goose, do you have teenagers? Because mine is 12. Got a new brain yesterday. She now knows everything. The internet has become redundant. We don't need it anymore. We just asked my daughter. Jeremy, my uncle had to pull me out of my driveway with his Dodge 4x4. Felt so embarrassed. Even more embarrassing, I didn't even make it out of the driveway. Snow doesn't discriminate whether it's a foot or 4 feet. And yes, and Tyler, Jeremy, that's an excellent point, because it's what we were talking about earlier with tractor trailers in the snow and ice. If you're going up a hill or a mountain, you've got to put chains on these things, because if you don't put chains on them, you're not going to go up. And unfortunately, when new truck drivers come out of truck driving school, they think that it's 4 feet of snow on the road before they have to put chains on, when in reality, it's the temperature around freezing and 2 inches of snow on the ground when you have to put chains on a tractor trailer. So don't be too embarrassed by the fact that you had to get pulled out of your driveway. Big Mac Sam, how are you, my friend? I saw the news headlines about the awful fire there they had in the Bronx. 19 people. That's just, and like 9 kids. That's just a horrific story. Absolutely horrible. Dulce parallel parking. Again, Corey will put the video up for you on parallel parking. That will definitely help you out. But in the winter time on a driver's test, it's a lot easier to parallel park because you don't have to be 8 to 12 inches from the curb. You only have to get in behind the vehicle in front of you, because you don't want to get stuck in the snowbank. Because if you get stuck in the snowbank in the winter time, the driving examiner is not going to push you out. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be a fail on your driver's test. Okay? So know that. Crystal, you got a new driving book for Christmas. That's a great present for Christmas time. Mayor, I have a G road test in London, Ontario on the 20th with lots of snow. You're going to be fine. The roads will be clear, lots of sand. And if there is snow or there gets windy or those types of things, they're going to postpone your driving test. So know that for the purposes of your driving test there in London on the 20th. You're going to be just awesome. Garden State, there was a fire in the Bronx too. Just had one in Philly last week. Crazy. What's with the fires? That's just terrible. Goose, no kids left in the nest. Thank the Lord, but they never really leave. That's true.
What? They're like owls.
All right.
What?
Terrible fire. They say it was caused by a malfunctioning heater. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Lauren, I passed my road test yesterday thanks to your videos. Thank you. Lauren, awesome. Congratulations on passing your driver's test. That's awesome news. Thanks for dropping back and letting us know. And as you saw there, I just gave my daughter the look because she's standing here off the side of my desk, just making a lot of noise and being a complete interruption. Garden State, yes. Hoboken 2, big fire. Wow. Hopefully that's 3. That's the last of the fires. And Sharma, my test is on the 11th. Good luck on your driver's test. That's like 2 days. That's Tuesday. Good luck on your driver's test on Tuesday. All the best. Remember to breathe. That will cause your body to relax. And just before we wrap up here, I was looking at Mallory's comment there. That's why I got a little bit distracted. Check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Course Package over at the Smart Drive Test website. Guaranteed to pass your driver's test. As a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses. You can pick that up for about $38 US over there. And anybody now watching on the live stream or watching on the replay, definitely leave us a comment if you have any questions. Or Mallory's just left me an idea for short slip lanes. I'll definitely do that. Slip lanes, right turning lanes, Goose. Slip lanes. I'm not even sure where I got that term, but they call them slip lanes somewhere else. So I will definitely do a short on that for you. I have a couple more kind of in the pipeline right now, but once I get those done, then I'll get that one done for you. 50 kilometers an hour. All right. And Jeremy, love this channel. I definitely keep following along for the future. Excellent. Good night, my friend. All the best. And we'll leave it there for tonight. Take care. And remember, pick the best answer. Not necessarily the right answer. All the best. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Why does my ticket...